Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Will and welcome to Copper Jacket TV. So it's nice to be able to report on some good news again today. This is absolutely massive. So today we have some major breaking news from the United States Department of Justice and Harmeet Dhillon, who is the head of the DOJ Civil Rights Division. And it's pretty exciting news for the millions of people who live in California that are forced to live under some of the strictest gun laws in the entire nation. You know, for so long, people in California have felt ignored while their rights were slowly erased. The United States DOJ always seemed to turn a blind eye to what was happening to civil rights in that state. But now, under Harmeet Dhillon, that has changed because she just put Newsom and Bonta on notice with her intent to sue over some major Second Amendment infringements. And she did not mince words. In her letter that was just sent to both the governor and the attorney general. So today we're going to go ahead, we're going to take a look at the letter, talk about what this new lawsuit will be challenging and what this all means going forward, because California has finally been put on notice and I am here for it. Now, real quick before we get started, this channel is proudly sponsored by Attorneys on Retainer, who is backed by Attorneys for Freedom, the self-defense legal experts. So if you're somebody who carries to defend yourself or defend your loved ones, or maybe you just keep something in your home for your own defense, you do not want to go it alone, and you don't want to go with somebody that uses a third-party insurance agency. AOR is not insurance. When you dial the number on the back of that card because you just had a self-defense incident, you speak with an actual attorney that will be there to defend you through the entire process. So if you ever find the need to defend yourself, which happens more than you might think, you don't want to wait until that moment to find an attorney that could cost you hundreds, if not thousands per hour. As part of your AOR membership, that monthly fee gets you 24/7 access to a complete legal team that will be there, again, to defend you through the entire process. And right now they're having a big 250 years of American freedom promotion that'll save you money on sign up. So use my link down below with my code CJTV, save yourself a little bit of money on sign up, and have the best peace of mind you could ever have in your wallet. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. And while I show you this letter, I'd appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. It's a great way to get this video out to as many people as possible. So here is the 2-page letter that was just sent out today to both Newsom and Bonta. This letter effectively lays out the DOJ's intent to sue the state for violations of the Second Amendment. And thankfully, it goes after more than just one thing. It effectively goes after two huge infringements that could have a major impact on what's available in the state if we win, or as the letter points out, if both Newsom and Bonta concede that these laws are in fact unconstitutional. This case will be called United States v. State of California. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at this letter, what it demands, and then we'll break it down afterwards. Okay, so here's a look at the letter right here. You can see it's directly from the Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division, and it was sent electronically and through certified mail to both Newsom and Bonta. And it says, regarding notice of suit, United States v. State of California and California Department of Justice. So it says, Dear Governor Newsom and General Bonta, the Second Amendment guarantees the right of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms for self-defense. And then it references Heller. Because handguns are the most popular weapon chosen by Americans for self-defense, a prohibition of their use is invalid. As you know, pursuant to California Penal Code Section 27595, as of July 1st, 2026, it will be illegal for California firearms dealers to sell certain semi-automatic pistols. This statute is commonly known as the, quote, Glock ban because it will ban the sale of virtually all Glock and Glock-style pistols. California's ban on the sale of the most popular handgun in America violates the Second Amendment. Moreover, to be sold at retail in California, a handgun must be listed on the state's official roster. To be listed on the roster, certain handguns must have chamber load indicators, magazine disconnect mechanisms, and until recently, the ability to transfer microscopic characters representing the handgun's make, model, and serial number onto the shell or casing fired by the gun, commonly referred to as microstamping capability. As a result of these requirements, no new handguns were added to the roster between 2013 and 2023, leading the court in Bolin v. Bonta to hold as follows. Californians have a constitutional right to acquire and use state-of-the-art handguns to protect themselves. They should not be forced to settle for decades-old models of handguns to ensure they remain safe inside or outside at home. But unfortunately, the statute's requirements do exactly that. Those requirements are unconstitutional, and their enforcement must be preliminarily enjoined. The injunction entered in Boland is stayed pending appeal, and the state's legislature recently deferred the microstamping requirement until January 1st of 2028. Nevertheless, for the reasons stated by the district court, these provisions of the roster statute violate the Second Amendment. This letter is to inform you that as the Assistant Attorney General for the Civil Rights Division, I have authorized the filing of a complaint in federal district court against the state. The complaint will allege that the Glock ban and the roster statute violate the state's citizens' Second Amendment rights by making it a crime to acquire constitutionally protected arms from firearms dealers, and that state law enforcement agencies' implementation of the prohibition and threat of criminal enforcement constitute a pattern or practice of law enforcement misconduct. The United States is authorized to bring such action. Now, it goes on to say the department will consider deferring the filing of the lawsuit for a short period of time if the state is willing to enter pre-suit negotiations in an effort to resolve this matter. Although the specific provisions are open to discussion, a resolution must at minimum require the state to 1. Immediately cease enforcement of the laws identified above, 2. Acknowledge the unconstitutionality of these laws, and 3. Agree to enter into a court enforceable consent decree permanently enjoining the state from violating its citizens' constitutional rights through these or any similar law. This letter also serves as a document retention notice. So they're telling California, do not delete, do not get rid of any documents that would have anything to do with this specific topic. So again, that's to do that. Including documents, photos, videos, file tapes, emails, computer files that may be relevant to this matter. We hope that the state shares our interest in achieving a voluntary resolution of this matter. We ask that you inform us no later than June 30th, 2026, whether the state is interested in entering into a pre-suit settlement negotiation. If we do not hear from you by 5 p.m. Eastern Time, June 30th of 2026, the United States may file its complaint without further notice. If the state wishes to enter into pre-suit negotiations, please contact the following people. So, like I was saying in the beginning, she does not mince words. This is unconstitutional. It needs to be unenforceable, and you need to fix this Second Amendment violation. That is absolutely huge coming from the DOJ. So, Dhillon gave Newsom and Bonta until June 30th to negotiate or face the DOJ's lawsuit. I personally don't see that happening. So it looks like on July 1st, or at least around July 1st, United States of America v. State of California will be the new case to watch. So let's go ahead and break this down because, as you may have noticed, this lawsuit doesn't just challenge the so-called, quote, Glock ban, which takes full effect on July 1st. It also goes after the roster and roster requirements. And that, to me, is what makes this lawsuit so massive. The roster is one of the biggest issues in the state of California. This lawsuit could essentially overturn California's roster, and even if some roster remained and this lawsuit was, able to gut the requirements, it would be nothing more than a pointless, unenforceable list. Now, there are several states that have a very similar ban as California's right now, but California's is somewhat unique because of the roster. So California doesn't actually ban anything by name. There is no specific brand that's listed in this legislation. However, they do ban a component that's used in every single one, which effectively bans them all. And since California's roster requirements are so strict and absurd, there really is no path to get any of these new models, which are supposed to fix the issues that California says caused this law in the first place. So the issue is twofold: the ban and the roster, which prevents them from ever coming back. And it's because this issue is twofold that the DOJ is going after both. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now have a new federal lawsuit led by the United States Department of Justice, Civil Rights Division, targeting the ban and the roster, which again is massive. Even though it shouldn't, when the federal government files a lawsuit like this, it tends to carry significantly more weight in court. It's almost like the court gives the case a little bit more credence, which is obviously a huge benefit to us in this case, because for far too long, California's been able to get away with whatever they want. There's been virtually no judicial oversight or correction because the Ninth Circuit, which covers California, sides with the state 99.9% of the time, regardless of the Constitution or the rule of law, which has emboldened the state to take things even further year after year until we get to where we are now, with waiting periods, monthly limits, permits to practice a right, outright bans, and so much more. And while this lawsuit doesn't address everything, it is a major step in the right direction. I'm always hesitant to support a bureaucrat, but I gotta be honest, Harmeet Dhillon is really turning out to be an amazing advocate for the Second Amendment, and she deserves credit along with everyone in the Second Amendment section of the Civil Rights Division. This is all good news, and it is nice to be able to report on some good news for a change. So anyway, make sure you hit that little alarm bell so that you can be notified, because as soon as we find out anything new or there are any new developments here, I'm going to jump in front of the camera to let all of you know. So I want to thank you all very much for watching. If you haven't done so yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It is a huge help. You don't even know. It's a really big help when you subscribe, comment, interact with the video. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day.